All right, pre-calc fans, today it's sketch rational functions part 2. Okay. Oh. Remember our notes that we did? Remember, this was the notes all from part 1. How we did everything. I did all the notes talking about what we had to do here to sketch the graph. Okay. Actually, let's sketch this one right here. We'll sketch this graph right here. So we talked about a hole. We have the vertical asymptote at x equals -2. We have a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. So this is what you guys did for me in the homework. So here was the first one that we did from the notes part. Remember, I had x plus 3 over x squared plus 5x plus 6, and we factored this. So we had 1 over x plus 2, and we said the whole was at -3, -1. So we did that in class. That was from the notes. That was this part right here. We did this canceling. We said y equals 1 over x plus 2. And then because x plus 3 cancels out, we had x cannot be -3. That was the x coordinate of the whole. And then we plugged in to find the y value of -1. Okay, so there's the whole. Then we used this form. And we found they did the vertical asymptote. And we did the horizontal asymptote. Then we did x-intercept, y-intercept, and then we did our 10, -10. Okay. So the vertical asymptote, that's right, the denominator is undefined, so x equals -2. Horizontal asymptote, right, 1 over x, so y equals 0. X-intercept, that means we look at the top, there is no x in the top, so therefore there is no intercept, so none. And y-intercept, we plugged in 0 for x, so we had 1 over 2. Okay. And then we did our 10 and -10, and I don't need to redo that. We did that right over here, 10 and -10, so we had 0.08, and we had -0.13. Okay, and the reason why we're doing 10 and -10, that's your end behavior. Where is the curve? Where are the y values in relationship to the horizontal asymptote? So this is, remember, the horizontal asymptote is y equals 0. So this is above horizontal asymptote, and this is below horizontal asymptote. Okay? So now let's look at the curve. Here are my axes. All right. So we're going to plot this information right here. The whole we worry about last. We do all of this. No x-intercept, so there's nothing on the x-axis. Horizontal asymptote is y equals 0. So I literally put a horizontal dotted line on the x-axis. That's where y is equal to 0. So the dotted lines for me represent my asymptotes. And then I have x equals -2, so here's 1, 2. and we have no x-intercept, we have a y-intercept of a half. So that looks like a half to me. Now, we're ready to tackle this. I always start my graph on the left-hand side, and then I work to the right, because that's how I read. I lead left to right. So first of all, I got everything plotted. Horizontal asymptote, this black dotted line. Vertical asymptote, let me label this, y equals 0, x equals -2. All right, we had no x-intercept, so it doesn't cross the x-axis, doesn't hit the x-axis, and we have a y-intercept of a half. Okay. So I'm going to start on the left, -10, way over here somewhere. Where is the curve? Where are the y values when we're way over here to the left? We are below the horizontal asymptote. Below horizontal asymptote. Above horizontal asymptote. Okay, so we're below. So that means way over here on the left, I am starting under here. And now I go to this vertical asymptote as a wall. We can never cross it. So as I approach this wall, which way do I have to go? I can't go up, because if I go up, that means I cross the x-axis. I do not cross the x-axis. And so there's only one way to go, and that's down. And you go close to the vertical asymptote. All right. Now I'm looking at this vertical asymptote right here. Remember how when we did our inequalities, we talked about sign changes? Look at this x plus 2. When I'm to the left of x plus 2, we are negative. What about to the right? That's right, it changes positive. It changes signs. So now I am above. Because at x plus 2, this factor changes signs at -2, it's undefined. To the left, it's negative. To the right, it's positive. So that means I'm up top. I switch signs, and now I'm up top. My y values are positive. Here, the y values are negative. I hop over this fence. The y values become positive. Okay. So I'm starting way up here. So now I have to go from here. I have to go to the right. Well, I know I have this y-axis, so I have to cross the y-axis at a half. And now, remember this over here says we finish above the horizontal asymptote. When x is 10, we are at 0.08. We are above the horizontal asymptote. So then I just finish tailing out above the horizontal asymptote. So I just sketch the graph, this graph right here, the original curve. Okay, now we have to apply the whole. So all I have to do to apply the whole is go over here at -3 down to -1. That looks like it's close enough to me. And I put a hole. If I had a pencil, and I did this in pencil, I would erase it and then put a hole right there. So this is the hole, -3, -1. Okay? So we just sketched our curve. Let's see. The second one I did in the notes. Or the next one I did in the notes. Not the second one, the next one. Where was it? So here's the number 1 that we did in the notes. Okay. Remember we did all of this? I have it all nice and neat right here. Look at all that neat, wonderful handwriting. I'm not going to redo everything. I'm just going to graph it. Number 1. So here's our number 1. This equation, I'll write it out in factored form. Okay, so we're graphing this right here. Here's all of our information right here. Here's my axes. Okay. So x-intercept at 2, 1, 2. Y-intercept at 1.7. Let's see, here's 1, here's 2, so 1.7 looks about right there. Horizontal asymptote, y equals at 2.5. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, so 2.5. And that is a horizontal dotted line. And we label it y equals 2.5. Okay. Vertical asymptote at x equals 3. So 1, 2, 3, and we label x equals 3. Okay. Alrighty. Remember, the hole is the last thing that we worry about. Okay, so starting on the far left-hand side. That's right, it's way over here on the left-hand side. At -10, where is the graph in relationship to the horizontal asymptote? That's right, we are below the horizontal asymptote. So, way over here at -10, we are below the horizontal asymptote. Okay, and because I'm running out of room, look at this. At +10, we are above the horizontal asymptote. So way over here at +10, we finish above the horizontal asymptote. So the question is, where does the information go in between? Okay, so as I go from left to right, this curve, I have to go towards the y-axis. Remember, this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis. And so as I approach the y-axis, I have to cross the y-intercept at 1.7. So let me go hit it. Now, here's the wall here. Remember, you cannot cross this wall. It's a vertical wall. We can't hit the vertical walls. We can hit horizontal walls all we want. We can't cross vertical walls. Okay, we can't go through them, and we can't go above them. Okay, so as I move towards this vertical wall, I have to hit this x-intercept. And let's see, it was x minus 2, it was not being squared, so then we just go through it. It's not a bounce. So then I just keep going down. So we just graph the left-hand side of this equation. Now, at x minus 3, here we are at this wall. Remember, we talked about sign changes. To the left, this curve is negative. Okay? Okay, to the left of 3, this is negative. To the right of 3, it's positive. So what happens? This means there is a sign change. What do I mean by sign change? Think about this fraction right now. This fraction, the whole fraction right now, is under the x-axis. It's negative. As soon as I hop this fence, this sign changes. And so if the sign changes, this whole fraction now goes from a negative to a positive because I changed one sign. So now that means I'm up top here. I changed a sign. And now I just have to connect to this spot right here. And I just graphed this equation. Okay. All right, now I'm going to apply my hole, -1 and 1.9. So this looks like -1, this looks like it's at 1.9. Put an open circle, and then we label -1, comma 1.9. That's your hole. We just did the sketch. Okay, let you digest that. All right. Let's do this one. Let's see. Do I have room right here to do it? No, I want to make sure I have plenty of room for you guys to see. I'll do this. Okay. So remember this was our second one that we graphed. There was no holes here. We had all of our information right here. Remember I wrote 3 twice because it was squared, so it means there's a bounce. Okay. This shows up twice, but that we don't write it twice for the vertical asymptote. We just realize that there is no sign change because the quantity is being squared. So let's get this thing all written out. So here's my axes. Okay, I'm going to go plot my intercepts. So 1, 2, 3. Y-intercept of negative 2.25. So 1, 2, 3. So there's negative 2.25. Horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. All right, let me do this. Y equals 0 for a horizontal asymptote. So I'm going to make the dotted line right on the axes there. So I'm using different colors here. So for those of you that use different colors, it'll be a nice feature for you. So y equals 0 for the horizontal asymptote. And then we have 2 vertical asymptotes. Uh-oh, that's fine. So what, you have 2 vertical asymptotes? This just means you have more fun. Graphing, x equals 1 and 1, 2. There. So how many regions did we create? We've actually created 3 regions, three vertical regions. Okay? There's x equals negative 2. Alrighty. Now let's sketch and have fun. As I read from left to right, where is the curve? At negative 10, we are below the x-axis. Okay, remember we are below the horizontal asymptote. Horizontal asymptote is y equals 0. We are below the horizontal asymptote. All right, I'm below the horizontal asymptote. So now as I approach this vertical wall, remember you can't cross the vertical wall, there's only one way to go, and that's to go down. The only time I hit the x-axis is right here at 3. No other spot on here do I touch the x-axis. And how many times do we hit the y-axis? That's right, we only hit the y-axis once, right here. Okay, now, x equals negative 2 is the factor x plus 2 quantity squared. What the heck does quantity squared mean when we talk about these vertical asymptotes? Well, again, remember when I talked about with our sign change. When something is being squared, is there a sign change? That's right, there is no sign change because it's being squared. So that means this fraction is negative. When I hop this imaginary wall right here, this x equals negative 2, this factor of x plus 2, the sign is still the same. So therefore, this fraction is still negative. Okay? The fraction is still negative. Okay? And now I am in between these 2 walls. So I have to hit the y-axis. And I can't go up because there's no x-intercept up here. I have to go down. Okay? All right. Now on the other side here, at x minus 1, that's right, it's not being squared. There is a sign change. So this fraction is negative. If I change a sign, it becomes positive. Okay? So now we're up top. And now I have to come down and I have to hit 3. But what happens at 3? we don't go through it because it's called a bounce. And at positive 10, where's the curve? Above the horizontal asymptote. Okay, so we're above the horizontal. So I have to come down here. I have to hit the 3, bounce on the 3, come up, and then I swing and I turn back down. So there we just sketched that curve. We finished above the horizontal asymptote. Okay. Okay. Remember when we did the quadratic? Remember when we did the rational inequalities? Think of this as a rational inequality. Here's all my information right here. Here's my roots. My -1, my 1, my -2, and my 3. Okay? Here they are right here. There's the -2. There's the -2. So I'll do this. I'll do my x minus 2 squared. I'm going to do my x minus 1, and I'm going to do my x minus 3 squared. Remember how we have all of our regions? And technically, I should have a little region right here. I'm going to do that region in orange. So remember when we did all the plus minuses? So x minus 2 squared. Remember, this was all pluses. Oh, that's not good. I can do, I'll do them in blue. Then at -1, there's 1 right here. So to the left, it's negative. To the right, it's positive. And then -3 squared, that's all positives. Okay? Now think about this in terms of the graph. Oh, I forgot that spot right there. What do I have here? Oh, this is positive. Think about this graph now. Think about all these plus minuses. Remember, a positive times a negative times a positive, the whole y value is negative. And this in between here, positive times a negative times a positive, the whole thing is negative. Curve is down below. Isn't this what we did with our rational inequalities? And now look at this. Positive times a positive times a positive is positive. Where's the curve? Above the x-axis. And then a positive times a positive times a positive, where is the curve? Above the x-axis. Okay? Maybe that'll help you understand what I'm doing with the graphs. Maybe you'll think that's an, oh, wow. All right. Last one. Remember, that was this curve right here. Again, no holes. And this one we had a slant asymptote. So let's get this one graphed now. Let's see, x-intercepts at 3 and -2, so 1, 2, 3. -2, 1, 2. There is no horizontal asymptote, but we do have a slant asymptote, but y equals x plus 1. So up 1. And what's the slope? That's right, it's positive 1, so that's up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. So that's 8. Okay, so there's my slanty asymptote. What else do we have? And we have a vertical asymptote at x equals 2. There. So here's y equals x plus 1, and here's x equals 2. Alrighty. Got all the hard stuff taken care of. So at -10, where's the curve? Remember we said it was above negative was, because it was at negative 8.7. That's above our slant asymptote of negative 9. How did I get negative 9, if you guys remember? That's right, I just take negative 10 and I plug it in here. It gives me negative 9. So negative 8.7 is above. So it's up here. Now where does the curve go? Oh, I forgot to plot my y-intercept to 3. All right, 1, 2, 3. All right, so now as I go from left to right, we have to hug the slant asymptote, hit our x-intercept, go hit the y-intercept, and go close to the wall. All right, now at 10. All right, so again, what's going on here now? Look at your denominator. Remember, the denominator is not being squared, so there is a sign change. So yes, sign change. So that means we start below. I have to go from, and I'm going from left to right. And where does it finish? At 10.5, which is below the horizontal asymptote. And again, where does 11 come from? 11 comes from me taking 10, plugging into this slant asymptote, and getting 11. So we're below it. And so there's only one way to connect this spot to that spot, is to hit 3, the x-intercept. There. So we just did our work. If you want me to do the plus minus schemes like I did, I'll do them in orange. Well, I'll put my dotted lines at the zeros. And I'll do the graphs in so how many vertical regions? We have 1 vertical regions, 2 vertical region, 3, and then 4. And what were the pieces? We had an x minus 2, an x minus 3, and an x plus 2. So I'll do those in blue. So here's positive 2. To the left it's negative, so negative, positive, negative, and then positive and a positive. Here's 3. To the left it's negative. To the right, positive. And then here's plus 2 is right here. X plus 2 is right here, so left negative, rights are positive. Okay. So what is this telling us? To the right of 3, there we are, the curve is above. You notice my purple line is above the x-axis. In between the 2 and the 3, that's right, the purple is below, negative. This is positive. Positive times negative is positive. There we go, above. And then this is below. Look at that. I like doing the overlay with the highlighters. It really does show you where the curves are based on the axes. Based on the x-axis. All right, folks. So I did some sketching with you. Okay? I did some sketching with you. This is the answers from yesterday, as you guys already saw. Okay, so now what I want you to do is take your answers. Hopefully you checked it with my work. Okay, and then try your hardest to do some sketching. Okay? Try your hardest to do sketches. Okay, so now you're going to take your work and try and do some sketches. Be careful with this one. A little wackiness happened for number 3. I tried to get it in over here. Well, you guys can't see that. Okay, so when you guys are looking at number 3, I didn't plan when I drew this paper out well. Okay, so the official drawing is down over here. This is a more blown up version, but I ran out of room. Okay. Okay, guys, good luck with this. Try your hardest. if anything, if you can't do anything, what I want you to do with the homework, at least get this information plotted on an axis, okay? At least get all that information plotted on the axes and put little arrows where you're starting and stopping based on the horizontal, based on the above and below the horizontal asymptotes, okay? At least do that for yourself. Get your x-intercept plotted, get your y-intercepts plotted, the horizontal asymptote and the vertical asymptotes. Get those into the pictures at least. If you can't do anything else, at least get that on your graphs, okay? At least get that on your graphs to give it your best shot.